Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. That's all that I could fit on the board. Um, we are, of course, cooking spam today. Hello, Queerly. Hello, MJ. Congratulations on being not first and first, respectively. Um, we are indeed cooking spam today. I was looking through what we've got. I've got leftover rice from the rice that I used on Saturday, so 2 day rice. So we're going to use that. Uh, I was I was initially looking at army-based stew, budejjige. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Um, to do with the spam because that is a classic thing to do with spam. Hello, MJ. Um, but that would require me making, first of all, a soup, but also noodles. Bob, hello. Um, I've got is rice. Now I don't have fresh rice. I was gonna do bibimbap and throw some spam into there, but that is fresh warm rice. This is old stale rice, so we have to refresh the rice. And the way you refresh rice, the way I refresh rice, is to do a fried rice, which is just great. You want stale rice for fried rice. So we're doing a fried rice, but I want to get those bude, jjigae, army-based stew flavors in here, and also it's going to end up being all mixed up. So it's a fusion. It's a fusion of two different Korean things and a Chinese thing. Um, you know, hi, hi, hi. How was all the spam? Well, we did. I didn't actually do a tier list this time because there was only 9. So I should put together a little graphic so I can have our winners and our results. Um, Nobody unseated spam because I used spam as the benchmark. I think that the one of them tasted better than spam, but it was also a lot more expensive. This one tasted better than spam, but it was a lot more expensive, and it essentially just tasted better than spam in the same way that the smoke flavored spam tastes better than plain spam. Um, so uh, I don't know which can we're going to use today. I'm considering actually using one of the bargain bin ones because we're not going to use the meatless one. The meatless one was very good, but I don't think it is what I want in this dish. MJ is on a streak, a 30 point streak. Good Lord. Good Lord. Why? How? Madness. Nonsense. So yeah, step one is well, no. Step one is not. Step one is not selecting a spam. Select one is walking over here and getting this torture device out. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate you liking me less. Why is this dim now? This wasn't dim. It's responding to the fact that that light is off. But it's not adjusting. Brighten up. Ugh. Ugh, I gotta get that light fixed. Damn it. Torture device for tofu. It's our tofu torture device. Something to catch the tofu juices in while we torture them. Happy lurking, MJ. See if we can't get this open by actually peeling it. Usually I cut these because I can never get the plastic to separate. Nope. I'm going to pour off the juice. Bring back our brick of tofu. He goes in the thingy. And then we squish him down. Like so. We try to keep it level. And this, don't burst the sides, but this forces the tofu water out of the tofu. You can see it advancing as it forces tofu water out of the tofu. And then we're just going to let that sit on the side and occasionally tighten it. Try that later. Torturing the tofu. It'll answer the questions eventually. Or else. Okay, now that that is in progress, we can think about which Spam we want to use. I was considering one of the bargain bin ones, or the original, or the Palm brand as our lead contenders. The Armor one is out. It is the wrong texture for what we're doing here. I used the dollar store one for that cheese noodle thing I made yesterday. Let's do that one. Let's do that one. It's the Palm brand one. Are we going to do that one? Or are we going to do... second guessing myself. Second guessing myself. Of course I am. There's too many options. Whenever I have options, I freeze up. I panic. What is this one? Kroger. We're going to stick with my original instinct and go with one of the bargain brand ones because it's just pork. And this is also going to be the main source of salt in our dish. This is the Kroger. Ooh, and it has truly gelled in our process here. In our process of chilling it. Ooh, what's that? Perhaps we shall deduct points from Kroger. For there is an imperfection in my loaf. Right there. Right yonder. we have ample Spam. I think I'm just going to avoid whatever that is. We're also cutting this into this size bits. Dropping stuff. I'm going to start them directly in our cold pan. So how has everyone been? It's only been 2 days, but how has everyone been since Saturday? I've been fine. I've been okay. I hurt my shoulder. Oh, I know what we need to do. We need to rehydrate some mushrooms. I hurt my shoulder in one of the most old person ways ever. I I leaned back slightly, and somehow that wrenched a muscle out in my shoulder. Like, it wasn't even doing anything. Okay, we're going to get our Spam rendering and crispy. We're going to just avoid that, whatever that dark spot is. Scrape the gelatin from our pan. Spam. But yeah, I also was going to rehydrate some mushrooms because I want some shiitakes in this. Wash the Spam off my hands. Get that on. We're going for crispy, and we're going for this providing the initial fat in our pan for other things. So while it's getting started, I'm going to grab a package of dried mushrooms. Yeah, so my shoulder. It was weird. I leaned back, caught myself with my arms a little bit, and the muscle on the front of my shoulder, for some reason, decided that that was a step too far, and just like, nope. Boom, over here. Dried shiitake. Oh, and this can is done. We're doing things in phases today. So we're doing a bunch of ingredient prep, and then at the end we're going to throw everything together. So bring a pan of water to a simmer. Grab out, I don't know, 4 of yonder mushroom. Chuck them in there so they can rehydrate, and then when they're rehydrated, we'll slice them up. They'll go in our finished dish. I suppose I've cut that so that those have to go in a zip bag now. Yeah, bit by bit, all the various things are like, no, that thing that's just a real basic motion, you can't do that anymore. Don't do that. Bit by bit, step by step. Okay. That's just going to sit and fry over there. We're going to slide over here and do other things. We're going to need a whole bunch of prep bowls today. Beans! Beans are one of the things we're doing, and I'm saving the juice. Which is a sweet baked bean juice, not, oops, shoot. I pushed the, okay, well, great. That's not what I wanted to happen at all. That's completely the opposite of what I wanted to happen. Okay, well, I guess I'm getting out a little strainer then, because I want to separate those beans from their juice. I was just going to use the edge of the can, but it declined to cooperate. So. I know there's not a ton of liquid compared to like your standard canned bean, but what little there is we are using. So that's going to drip out over here. Clean up that mess I just made. Whew, boy, I've gone through a lot of paper towels. We used so many paper towels yesterday, or Saturday. Let's see, I want to, okay, yeah. I'm thinking ahead. I bought kimchi. Someday I need to learn to make kimchi. Because it's always expensive when you buy it, but the cabbages that it's made out of are not expensive. So but we need some kimchi for this. Kimchi. And how it's fairly well chopped up. I want it to be chopped up so that I can mix it in. So we're going to pull some of it out here. A goodly dose. Remainder can go in the fridge. I did get the vegan kimchi because I figured that I don't really know the difference. Obviously, we're not making a vegan dish because we're using Spam. How is everyone? How's everyone been? I don't think with the things I have picked out we could have made it vegan. I didn't get vegan beans. I would have had to have gone out of my way to get vegan beans, which I don't know how you could manage to get vegan beans. Otherwise, yes, everything else could have been vegan. Okay, chopped up kimchi. How much juice did I get out? Oh, I got quite a bit of juice out of the beans, the non-vegan beans. Try not to make a horrible mess here. We're going to make a horrible mess. We did not make a horrible mess. Okay, okay. I want to use this bean juice as part of the base of our sauce. Saw an article that said Napa cabbage helps fight microplastics. That's interesting. I would love to read that. If you can find it, link it in the Discord. Let's slide over here. Our mushrooms are starting to rehydrate. Our spams need to be tossed about. We've had a little bit of sticking, but that's fine. We're going to have probably a lot more of that over the course of this as I build things in this pan. We want to do the spam by itself because I want to get a nice crisp on it. Back yonder. That. I had to get a fresh, we used up my gochujang. I had to buy a brand new fresh gochujang. So, join me as we break the seal on our fresh gochujang. Throw a glob of that in the thing here. I should have done gochujang first. It's very sticky. And fine, I'll just use a million spoons. Some garlic. Get a reference recipe up here. Sesame, soy. Yes, some vinegar. I'm not measuring any of these things. Some vinegar, some soy sauce. We've got a sweet bean sauce in there. Sesame oil. Sesame oil is going to be going in a few spots here, but there is some in the sauce. It wants quite a bit. not going to go ham because we are going to throw a bit in elsewhere. I'm going to modify it by adding some Laogan Ma, which is also going to add oil and ruin our Korean flavor profile. White and black sesame. I have selected, hello bookwoman, I have selected the Kroger brand one of the bargain brand ones, one of the 3 bargain clones for this. Speaking of which, back over yonder, where our Spam once again needs to be tossed around. I would say it probably stuck because I started it in the pan cold. So learning moment, get the pan hot before you drop your Spam in should help prevent that little bit of stickage. Because it really hasn't stuck since then. Anyways, we want nice crisp pieces here. Dropped one on the floor. How did it rank? This was one of the 3 clones that ranked in sort of joint 5th. I picked it here because armor's not appropriate for this application. It's the wrong texture. I also think that the Palm brand, our 2nd place, was not appropriate for this application because of texture. Because things have different textures. I almost went with the, not Palm brand, the Unmeat. I almost went with the 3rd place, our Palm brand. But since it's also bringing an additional smoke flavor, because that's the one that had the smoke flavor added, and it really only ranked higher than anybody else because it was a flavored one, and thus cheating from the start. Flip my mushrooms over so they can keep hydrating on the other side. But I think they're pretty well done. So it's one of our joint 5th placers. I forget which one was the cheapest one. Actually, I don't have to forget which one was the cheapest one. I wrote it on the bottom. So it's our 7th place one. Which they got ranked based on cost. Back over here. The sauce guide I looked up actually used way more gochujang for this than I have put in. So we could add more to thicken it up. Spam. Tofu is pressing. Regular mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms are rehydrated. Kimchi is kimchied. Our cold rice is on hand. That's right. I was going to throw in some bok choy for texture. And I was going to, and I still think I am going to, throw in some cheese. Oop, I bumped. Did you guys see that? Are we still here? Yeah. I bumped one of the cables on the side here, and my screen blipped, and the screen is where the camera is attached. Ooh, our Spam is getting a lovely color. Don't think we're going to use all of the tofu. We probably shouldn't use quite all of this Spam, but it is the main. It is the main main event for the next week. Okay. 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 So, sauce. I was about to move the sauce. Bring out the Velveeta, which I just noticed the suggested price for a brick of Velveeta is almost $9. That's absurd. I got this because the end of the box was crushed in on sale. But it was sealed when I got it, so I don't care if the end of the box is crushed in. We're going to use some of it in this madness. This is the cheese that was in my noodles too. Yesterday's noodles. So cheese in big quotes, big angry quotes. Okay, that stuff, cheese, beans, kimchi, sauce, fried rice, or rice to be fried, some baby bok choy, about that many of those. Controversial opinion, you don't like Velveeta. I think that is a common assessment of Velveeta. It is controversial, not so much. I'm using it here for its particular weird chemical properties. This stuff looks mostly fried up. They're getting nice and crisped. We're going to pull them out. Hold them out, leave them there. Add some sesame oil to this pan. Velveeta is not actually cheese. No one would tell you that it's actually cheese. It is a dairy product that is chemically stabilized. The chemical stabilizers melt when you get it hot. It melts into a liquidy substance super, super readily. It sure doesn't taste like cheese. I shouldn't have put that in there because that pan was still hot. I don't want to burn that oil. So it's not cheese. Like, definably, it's not cheese. It is a chemically stabilized dairy product. I'm going to trim the little dry nubbins off the bottom. But it has some interesting properties that real cheese doesn't replicate very well. The meltiness. The way I'm using it here is similar to the way in which, like, Kraft cheese, well, it's seldom Kraft brand, but that style of the cheese singles gets used when mixed into soups. It melts and forms a creamy element. Now, that might be too much, actually. Yes, pasteurized processed cheese. I think it's still called cheese food. Let's see what it actually says. Nope. Pasteurized recipe cheese product. The third ingredient is canola oil. So, yeah, it's not really... I don't pretend that it's cheese. It's not cheese. We don't use it like cheese. We use it like a thickener, is what we use it as. You melt it into a liquid, and it thickens that liquid and provides a smooth, creamy texture. Some champignons. Come on, stop doing that. The stem was deflecting my knife to the side, giving me thinner and thinner slices as it went. There's going to be quite a bit of this too. I'm definitely making leftovers. Fruit fly likes my kimchi. Unsurprising. But yeah, I'm taking flavor cues from Korean army base stew. If you've never heard of that, give it a look. It's a fascinating thing. Hence the cheese and the Spam. I'm skipping the hot dogs, but I am including the tofu. I was going to use enoki. I didn't find enoki. Robster Craw, hello, welcome in. Watch my fingers. I've only ever cut myself cooking here once, and it wasn't on a chopping board. It was in the sink while I was washing. But welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Good to meet you. Welcome in. We're doing some ingredient prep still at the moment. I fried up the Spam bits. Our shiitakes ready to go as well. I don't think I'm going to toss that. I think we're going to save that mushroom water and see if I can do something with it. I'm more likely to cut myself this way because these are hot. I don't want to touch them. But hello, hello. How's it going? Welcome in. Good to meet you. That's also why the beans are here, because beans are in the army base stew, typically. And I kind of like that part of the flavor profile, because it's American style canned baked beans, so they're very sweet. That stem did not hydrate very well, so we're just gonna cut that bit away. It was still quite solid. Okay. Mushrooms. Discard that piece of stem. Grab our spatula. And put our mushroom water in with our mushrooms. Yeah, I don't have the best knife technique, but yeah, washing knives I think is super dangerous by comparison. Although I did just see Alton Brown. If you haven't seen Alton Brown, he's been a chef for forever and ever and ever, and he's doing a show on YouTube. He just did one on knives specifically, and one of the things he mentioned is something that I thought was just a great idea, and it was press your knife flat against your cutting board when you're washing it. So that the edge is like flat, and just scrub both sides. We got quite a bit of juice out of our tofu. I'm not going to leave it super long here. I'm actually going to no, left. Remember how screws work. But this thing has done its job of torturing the juices out of our tofu. We're gonna fry up some tofu. Again, I don't think we're gonna use all of it. If you don't have a tofu press like that, that's fine. Most people don't. I actually recommend not getting a tofu press like that I recommend just squishing it with a plate or something. I just saw that at a thrift store and was like, yep, I'm getting that, even though I only occasionally use tofu. Congratulated cheese of soybean. Did you mean coagulated? Coagulated? That seems like an autocorrect to me. But that is, in fact, exactly what it is. You also have a tofu press that you've barely used. Yep. I wouldn't have bought it if it was full price, but it was somebody else had barely used it and dropped it off at the thrift store, so I got it for like $2-3 or something. Now, I always have problems with tofu sticking. But I would like to get the tofu some crispy texture as well. So we're going to start by heating the pan, and then we're going to drop the tofus in. And let them sit. And we're going to bag up the other half of the tofu as well, because that's not being used. Glacier, you're not first. Congratulations. You would have done the same thing. Don't have a tofu press. Would have grabbed it. Yes. I haven't made my own tofu. It doesn't have. I don't have one that can do the form. But this is the one to squeeze the juice out of the store-bought stuff, which is handy for something like this, where I want my tofu to be less wet. You love Spam, Glacier. I'm surprised. You're the first person to be like openly in favor of Spam. So far we have skeptics, so far we've had a bunch of skeptics and some neutral opinions. And some positive, but not like unmitigatedly positive opinions. Until now. A bottom that catches the water would be handy. I think this one's supposed to just be propped in the sink so that it drips right in the sink. And I didn't intend to save any of the juice, so I could have done that, but I was using the sink for something else. Namely, that's where I throw all my dirty dishes as I'm cooking. No Peaky, you're also a Spam lover. Nope, that is not hot enough. Not hot enough. I want it to sizzle immediately. Therian, you clearly missed the taste test on Saturday. Original Spam wasn't even the saltiest one we got. There were saltier canned pork loaf things like that. You were here. I didn't see you. I don't remember you. Original Spam wasn't even the saltiest one. My memory is clearly shot. Completely destroyed. That had better be hot enough to sizzle. Pork loaf things is the most accurate description, I think, of what that stuff is. Okay. These guys are sizzling as I put them in, so that is good enough for me. I expect they're going to stick a bit. Hopefully this ceramic device can release them a smidge. Okay. The luncheon meats. Yes, with chicken and whatnot. Mostly pork. I've yet to see any of them with beef. No, this needs to be hotter. We need to really zip these guys up. So yeah, I'm kind of doing this awkward, not like a proper fried rice, because I want my various components to be individually cooked well. And most importantly, this and the Spam, I want to get some crispy texture on, which requires them to be pretty much fried by themselves before we do anything else. And I am using this pan instead of a proper wok because I have somehow managed to screw up my wok. And if I cook anything acidic in it, I can taste the metal. And there's definitely acid in our sauce. So until I can get the wok seasoned up to the point where it can handle a splash of vinegar, I'm not boiling tomatoes in it. But like a splash of vinegar as part of a sauce, I screwed up my seasoning somehow, and I could taste the metal. I actually had to throw something out because it tasted so metallic. So something's wrong with my wok. So we're using this ceramic nonstick instead. Because it is large and has the shape, so we can do the tossy toss. Like so. Well, one of the ones I tried, I did get at our local Asian market. Palm brand. Although I know that I made Filipino spaghetti at one time, and I was not able to find the right kind of hot dog. And I could tell you that the flavor was not quite right. These are working great. I have had a bad experience with tofu frequently in the past where I'll try to fry it and it will, instead of crisping, it'll just stick. And I think that's because I usually use it too wet. Trip, it is in fact Spam Day part... I mean, in terms of shows, it's Spam Day part 2, but it's, for me, Spam part 4. Because I have had 2 meals of Spam since I did the taste test. This is the first fairly elaborate cook featuring Spam. But hi, Trip. Welcome, welcome. I don't need that up anymore. For those of you just joining us, we have crisped up our Spam. It is waiting there in the back. I want to do that first so I can get the oil in the pan. We are crisping up some tofu, because that would not happen if I did this in the midst of everything else. So we're going to pull that out so I can add it back later as well. In the Spam drippings and some sesame oil. Over on the counter, I've got, waiting in the wings, bok choy, a mixture of gochujang, sesame oil, rice vinegar, sesame seed, soy sauce, and the water, or the juice from a tiny can of baked beans, some chopped kimchi, the baked beans, some cubed Velveeta, shiitake and button mushrooms. Behind my face up here in the corner is our leftover rice from Saturday. So we're using the flavors of a Korean army stew, plus some of the flavors of a bibimbap, and the concept of throwing everything together from the bibimbap. But we're making a fried rice because my rice is old and stale, because it's 2-day-old rice. And that's my go-to for using up stale rice is fried rice. And yeah, so that's where we are, for those of you who have joined since I last said. Yes, the one with the pork plasma, while I'm sure someone's favorite. See, it did stick. It only stuck there, though. It stuck to the thing that was already stuck. There we go. If you missed Saturday's show, we tried 8 contenders to Spam. I had a can of original Spam and 8 different brands competing to see if any of them could unseat it. I still put Spam in first place, but I think that there's some discussion to be had, and I think I'm going to adjust some of my ratings. The only one that was a complete loser, that was absolutely one I'm not getting again, was the Dollar Tree's Celebrity brand, which was a mini can, which is unfortunate because the mini cans actually I like, but mini can, and it had pork plasma and pork skin in it, and I did pitch that one out. I threw it away immediately. And then yes, we had a surprise one that didn't actually get ranked because it is not a Spam, and it currently, you're gonna love what it turned into, Bob. The oil in the fridge didn't solidify. It turned into a viscous slime. That is our cod liver in its own oil. I think our tofu can come out. I'm actually going to taste one of them, see how they are. Beautiful crisp on those. Beautiful crisp on those. Okay. Get them out as well. They can go in with the Spam. Man, I'm so happy that worked. I love crispy tofu, and I don't make it because I have such a hard time with getting it to not stick. And this did not stick. It only stuck to things that were already stuck. And I'm going to account that to the fact that I pressed the liquid out of it. Because I'm sure that's what makes it stick. steams in the pan. Okay, now we can start cooking things and not removing them immediately. The mushrooms immediately soaked up all of the remaining oil drippings in our pan, as they are wont to do. And this is the only stage where I'm going to be adding additional salt. Because it will help draw that stuff back out of the mushrooms. Although if it gets too dry, I do have the mushroom drippings to... Bob is not a fan of liver. I don't know his opinion on cod. Also, and I did mention it when I opened that can, that tiny can has almost 1,000 calories. I say almost 1,000 calories. It has 780 calories, that tiny, tiny can. It is the most caloric food I've ever seen that's not just like straight cooking fat. Okay. Okay, the mushrooms will give back to the pan as we go. We're going to slide back over, actually. We're going to slide back over this yonder to this way. Grab one of my very sprouty carrots. Very, very hairy carrots. The carrots absolutely know that it is spring and are desperately trying to grow roots, which we're just going to cut off. And actually what we're going to do is one of these. Come on, stop getting stuck. Stop getting stuck. Should have left the stem end on so that I could have had more to hold on to. Stop getting stuck in my blade. Dang it. Dang it. Carrot fought me the whole way. Anyways. Get in there, carrot. An onion. Should have cut my carrot and onion before starting, but I didn't because I'm a fool. Well, you guys can look at the pan while I cut this onion. I did also today, and we're not using it in this dish, but I did pick up a daikon that I intend to pickle so that I can have pickled daikon with my Spam. But that is not on the docket for today. Nutrient dense, high in vitamin A. It did say it was high in vitamin A. I'm almost tempted to try to make it into a pate because it was already soft like a pate and tasted a lot like sardines. It tasted like sardines with the texture of pate, which is very, very interesting combination to me. Our pan needs some cooking fat. And some green stuff. And I need to stop pitching stuff on the floor. Okay. Onions, carrots, bok choy, 2 kinds of mushrooms. Are we going to do an egg? Yes, we are. Egg. Egg is going to be done on the side, though. Do the egg over yonder. Yonder egg. Okay. This is going to be quite the thing. Do I have enough rice for this? Well, that's why I called it a bibimbap instead of just calling it fried rice, because I think it's going to be way more like mixed up chunky than a fried rice typically is. We're also going to use the, there's 3, but they got like creepy leaves. We're going to lose some of them. We're going to use the remainder of these here scallions, because I did just pick up some new ones. That one's pretty good. We'll just nip the end. Oop, I'm dropping everything. Why am I dropping so much stuff? Come on, come on. Nip the dried up tips, nip the little rootlets, pull off any leaves that look too gnarly to work with. You guys are still over there. I'm over here. That one's actually almost good all the way to the end, so we'll just cut a tiny bit. That one looks a little bit dry up to about there, so we'll cut there. 3 scallions, they can go in at the end. We're going to split them. We're going to put this part in now. With a better knife. Get a better knife. Just do better with your knife. Okay, scallions, the bottom part's in. I also like this pan because it's big enough that I can push things to the sides to do odd stuff. We're throwing in some beans. Yes, this is one of my... all of my cookware, almost all of my cookware is thrifted. This one is a really, really fine one that I found. It is a Tramontina. It's a ceramic coated pan as opposed to a non-stick. So it's not actually fully non-stick like Teflon is. Things do cling to it a little bit. You get a little bit of stickage, but not as much. It sticks about as much as like a well-seasoned pan does. You still shouldn't use metal tools in it, but it holds up to things better than real nonstick, and it's big. I owe you a Coke. So yeah, this guy's not Teflon. It's a ceramic coating. I'm sure it'll wear out eventually, and you can see the bean juice stuck. We're going to just do the kimchi here for a little bit. I don't really want to fry the kimchi, but I am going to want it to be flavor incorporated. It is quite easy to clean. It can take a good soaking. Like you can soak it, I mean. So if stuff sticks onto it, it can be soaked without hurting it at all. Most things don't require any kind of a soak. It just wipes off. And I believe that means it also has graduated from... yeah, and see that with a good scrape, that stuff comes off the bottom. It's graduated from spatula, or from silicone spatula to wooden spatula. The stuff is getting heavy. Definitely have leftovers. I will have that tomorrow. Still, of course, need the spatula because we're going to scrape down this stuff. I think I need to get my heat up a little bit as well. And then the definitely most questionable bit, And the last one, because I want them to not fully, maybe not the last one, but I don't want them to entirely melt. I just want them to like start to melt. Okay, okay. So yeah, and I know that there's a calling your pans ceramic is poorly regulated, and there's a bunch of ceramic pans that who knows what they're actually made out of. So I won't just say go grab a ceramic pan. I would say do some reading, find one that you know what it's made out of. And I can tell you that this brand, their ceramic pan, is this sort of, it's very, I mean, the texture on it feels a lot like a porcelain plate. But it's clearly also cooking stable. I think we take the heat off. I can smell the cheese, or the not cheese. The Velveeta will absolutely stick to this pan if I let it. So that's got to come off the heat. That pan, heat to low. Some neutral oil, let it catch up to itself. It is Tramontina. Did they put it on the lid? They did. It's on the handle. And it's on the lid. You're not going to be able to see that. But yeah, it's neat. It's a neat thing. It's a neat thing. I'm glad I found it. I don't think I would have looked too closely at it if it hadn't been, again, a thrift item. All that stuff. We're getting some hot oil. We are gonna put this in a bowl or a plate. Black plate. Black plate, but I'm gonna make a dome. We're gonna do a dome. We're gonna do the pretentious rice dome, which means we need our sesame oil back. So, bowl, sesame oil, wash my hand before I get sesame oil on everything. As much as I like sesame oil, I don't want it on everything. That pan with the oil is hot. And I need a scooping spoon. So I know that cheese is an odd situation, but it's here because of the army base stew, which typically has some American singles style cheese tossed into the broth to help thicken it. Which also does give you some cheese flavor. And we're going to use half-ish of this. Half-ish. Oop, my egg pan is hot. My egg pan is hot that it's actually smoking my avocado oil a little bit. That's not good. That's too hot. It's going to make my egg go crazy if I put it in there like that. So I'm actually going to cool the pan off before I go in with the egg. So I oiled the pan, or oiled the bowl, because if you do this with an unoiled bowl, it will always stick. But if you do it with an oiled bowl, it comes out almost perfectly in one. Just a smidge out of place. For a rice dome. I love doing a fried rice in a rice dome. Back over yonder, that burner is hot. That pan is hot. Okay, I want to do it on the pan, on the burner I originally had it on, which is the opposite corner, because I think I have better control on the small burner. So we're going to turn it on again. I also think that the slope isn't as bad over here, so we might get the egg more centered. One bean at 11 o'clock. That one? Or did I drop a bean somewhere and don't see it? I also want a nice egg out of this, so. I'm gonna crack my egg into a bowl to give myself a little more control. Okay. Okay. Pan ready to go. Egg. Get in pan. Get in pan. It's not centered. Well. It'll be fun. That's not the right spatula. Or the right flipper. That's not the right flipper either. Where's my good flipper? There's my good flipper. Brand new batch of egg. I pay a little bit more for eggs to get ones from a farm in Thorpe. It is a big industrial farm. I'm not pretending it's a little farm, but it's nearby. So they tend to be very fresh compared to the typical store-bought eggs, because Thorpe is like 45 minutes up the road. And they are you know, it's an industrial scale farm, but they're cage-free, yada yada. So they're. I'm not pretending that they're, happy chickens wandering in the woods. They're in a big barn, because if you put chickens in a big barn, and put food in the barn, they stay in the barn. But so it's halfway between. It's not one of the big crazy inhumane monster farms, but it's not a little local farm. But it's nearby, and that's also important. Also, I'm fairly loyal to them because during the last big egg price crisis, they did not raise their price. They held it steady, even as everyone else jacked the prices up. And that I respected. And yeah, they actually frequently have very nice eggs, which makes me think that they are taking care of the chickens. Because yeah, they often have really quite nice looking eggs there. What are we making tonight? You mean what did we make tonight? Because we're getting, wow, an hour and a half. I blitzed through it today. I did drop a few frames. I hope nobody noticed that. I guess I was hungry. Right, hi, welcome in. We made and are finishing Korean Army base stew bibimbap fried rice with Spam. Fine, put it on that way. And an egg. And a finish of oil. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize how fast I was going. Stir-fried things like this tend to go quickly once you get started, so that shouldn't surprise me. There's plenty for leftovers. A little bit of that. A little bit of that. And get out my ice cream spoon for a neat little dollop . Dollop of Chili Krispies on the top. Couple sesame seeds, a couple more sesame seeds, but the other color. There are, of course, sesame seeds in the thing as well. And yeah, we're going to throw in a little bit of green onion as a finishing touch. Sorry you missed most of it today, Ryu, but good to see you anyways. Just going to cut one of the, just one scallion leaf here. Get a really sharp bias on that one, because it makes them look real nice on the top. Okay, and that is my plate. And we are going to take a picture, and then we're going to start to dig into this thing. I am definitely noticeably hungry today. I've noticed that whenever I'm quite hungry cooking, I tend to cook faster in order to get to the food faster. I think it'll look even better at the angle, at the forward angle. You're looking at it straight down. Forward angle, I think it'll look even better. And I'm curious how the flavors will have combined, because we threw some weird stuff in here for sure. Okay, photo taken. We return, and it should be eatable with chopsticks. We're gonna not eat it on the cutting board. It should be eatable with chopsticks. Whew. Yeah, I'm surprised how hungry I got. Cut into our egg. The yolk is, oh, the yolk's up there. So break our yolk. A little bit of runny yolk, kind of more of a jammy yolk. Fine. Surprising. Interesting. Oh, it's so different. Oh, it's got some spice to it too. Oh man, it's a circus of flavors. Oh man, it keeps changing too. I'm losing track of all the things that have happened in my mouth since I took that bite. Let's try another bit here. Okay, the first thing that hits you, it's very interesting. The first thing that hits you is the rich creaminess from the cheese, from the Velveeta. It very quickly sort of gives you that smooth, creamy coating in your mouth. That's the very first thing that hits me. That also, I think, slows down the spiciness, because the spiciness comes in, but it comes in really late. It is pretty spicy, but not like wildly spicy. I really like the texture on the tofu. The tofu maintained its fried texture. The Spam softened up a little bit. It doesn't have that crisp surface. It has just the meaty chew. The tofu has that like, it's the fried tofu texture, but it really held up. And you get like bursts of acidity from the bits of kimchi that are in there. It's quite rich. It's got a lot of depth of flavor. I don't even think I've hit all the various elements in those two bites. It's an adventure. each bite is different. That one, crunchy, the bok choy stem pieces still have a vegetably crunch to them. There's a burst of shiitake flavor. Each bite is an adventure. It's got some sweetness and not a ton of sweetness. I think I could have actually stood to add a bit of sugar to my sauce mix. I relied on the beans to provide a lot of the sweetness. I think we could actually crank that up a little bit. Did we use a mix? We did not use a mix. I went with the Kroger brand one for this because it was one of the bargain store style that's just meat and also just pork. I wanted to render as extra fat out of it, so I picked one of those ones that's just meat, because I wanted to use the fat that rendered out of the Spam to cook other things. So that's why I picked that one. That's ultimately why I picked one of those. And I didn't end up picking the Palm brand because I didn't want the smoke flavor fighting with what else we were doing here. Stream just froze. Not for me. I'm good. I think it's on your end, Raya. I did drop some frames earlier, but it's now no. So that must have been either in between or on your end. This is not very fried ricey. I'm gonna say that. The Spam gives you that sort of salty meat flavor. And these crispy bits of tofu. And they still taste like tofu too, so you get that tofu flavor because they haven't been soaking in sauce, really. So they still taste like bits of tofu. I'm super glad that I didn't throw everything in there and try to cook it all at once, and I did it in stages. Because it helps those, my nose running a little bit from the spice. It helps those individual flavors not vanish into the whole. It is much more of a bibimbap in terms of that, where it's all mixed up, but all the flavors are still distinct, and the textures are distinct. I really like the addition of the cheese. I think I might have added a smidge too much, but not a ton too much. I don't know that I'm really noticing the beans a lot. I can try to isolate. I don't want to isolate them too much, but I can try to pull a piece where I can see some beans. Every bite is different. That bite was burst of shiitake mushroom, a wave of the cheese flavor. I love this. This is really good. This is super good. Do this. Guys, doesn't have to be Spam. Honestly, the Spam is merely a small part of this. If you don't want to use Spam, don't use Spam. But this style of thing, do this. It's real good. I mean, I could write up a recipe for specifically this, but I think the concept here is just throw a bunch of stuff at this. Like we've just gone really overboard with the number of things. But I can concoct. This is a good one. But yeah, if you wanted to use chicken in place of the Spam, use chicken in place of the Spam. If you wanted to use bacon, I'd recommend go for it. Pork chops. I probably avoid. Shrimp would be good here. Probably avoid like soft fishes. Robster. Um, One of my coworkers. He's not under 20. He is 21. Um, and I have told him about I was tasting spam, and his reaction was, "Spam? Why?" And his opinion of spam appears to be that it is universally reviled, and he therefore refuses to even try it. His loss. One of the cans we tried on Saturday had a key, and it wasn't one of the original spams. Only one of them still had a key and not a pop top. Um, uh, the thing is, he should get into eating cheaper foods because we don't make a ton of money at the store. He can't afford to be bougie. He has the most white boy palate. He has the most white boy palate. He has the most Wisconsin white boy palate, I should say. Bratwursts and sauerkraut. Bratwursts and sauerkraut and potatoes. Yeah. He'll grow out of it. This stuff is fabulous. I love this thing. Mmm. 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 Pork, yes. Pork belly would work really well here. Um, Chinese sausage, these things, these dry sausages would work really well here. You could take this in a non-Asian direction with like andouille. Um, I think it's better with, you want some kind of fatty meat at the start to build that, to render out some fat into your pan to start building other things on top of. But beyond that, I think sky's the limit. Pick your favorite, like something greasy to start it out with. This was almost vegetarian. You could make this vegetarian if you started it out with, you'd have to add more vegetable oil. But yeah, no, this definitely has legs. And I shouldn't be surprised by that because I kind of just took three existing delicious things and smushed them together. But a couple of random vegetables. I used bok choy and carrots because that's what I have, but Angela, hello. I'm waxing poetic about this because it's absolutely delicious. But how's it going? Welcome in. What we have here is half eaten. Korean army base style, bibimbap style fried rice with spam. Because we're using spam because we did the spam taste test. Now I've got a million cans of spam I got to get through. It's spam. So in here, there's a million things in here. We have spam, which I fried crisp, tofu fried crisp, button mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms. We used button mushrooms because I couldn't find enoki mushrooms today, so I know what a Viewmaster is. I couldn't find enoki mushrooms. I was going to use enoki mushrooms. I think the button mushrooms work well, except that they soaked up a lot of my oil, so I had to add some extra oil. Carrots that I ribboned, thinly sliced onion, baked beans, and their juice, although I separated them, I mixed the juice into the sauce. A sauce of baked bean juice, gochujang, sesame seeds, garlic, soy sauce, rice vinegar. God, what else? I've lost track of all. I'm gonna have to watch this one back. What else is in there? Bok choy, diced up some bok choy, threw that in there. There's a fried egg on top with scallions, some laganma, and we threw in, to the mix, right at the end, some cubed Velveeta, so that it would melt most of the way, but not necessarily all of the way. Which gives us this like creamy, smooth texture in between the rice. If you can't have soy sauce, there are definitely savory alternative sauces that could be swapped in. I would also skip the Laogan Ma because that has soybeans in it. Unless you're worried about soy sauce because of the wheat element, in which case I would switch that out for tamari. Coconut aminos would be great. That would be a perfect swap for this. Or yeah, some. God, we even could have put that in here. Some Maggi would work. I wouldn't use a ton of Maggi. It's kind of strong, but it would give you that flavor element. Really, it's throw what you got at it. Soy is fine. Then I would get some tamari, which is a wheatless soy sauce. It is soy sauce. It's made the same way that you make soy sauce, but it is only made with soybeans. Usually costs a bit more, but it gives you that exact soy flavor without the glutens from the wheat. You can usually find it in like the Asian section next to the soy sauce. It's called tamari, or tamari soy sauce, or something along those lines. Oh yeah, there's kimchi in here. I'm just looking at the fridge about the things I've used half of. There's kimchi in here. There's tofu in here. There's obviously a can of Spam. We used, so on Saturday we did a taste test of a bunch of different brands of Spam. One of the ones I tried is meatless, so we could have made this vegetarian if I had used that. We could have made it vegan if I had skipped the egg and the cheese. If we did that, there's not really a good substitute for the egg. I think leaving the cheese out would just be fine. There's some of the cheese right there. It's really good. It's spicy too. I definitely did not make this. Velveeta is so far from being animal. No, they put milk in it. I should do, as a tester, I should get a bunch of vegan cheeses and run them through a series of tests to see which ones live up. So to see which ones actually do the things that I want them to do as a actual cheese eater. Because I'm more than happy to eat something that's vegan if it does a good job at what it's doing. I'm just going to keep eating this. It's super good. It's still very salty. I only added a little bit of salt to the vegetables to get them specifically to get the mushrooms to render out a little bit. But between the spam and the kimchi and the soy sauce, it's still pretty salty. It's really good. I need to stop just rambling. I've just been rambling about this for 20 minutes. I'm going to have to watch this one back and jot down some notes because I really like the results here. And it seemed like it was a pretty easy one. And it would be nice to not lose track of it. Oh, that's a sesame seed. Well, I want to finish eating that because I was very hungry. We blitzed through the cooking partly because I was very hungry. And I've kept eating this as I talk about it because I'm also very hungry. But we should probably send y'all forth into the wild. Let's see who's on. There's our what we made. Follower list. Mom is on again. Earth Toast is on. We could go regale Chef. We could go regale Chef with tales of this nonsense, with this madness, with this delicious madness. I know they'll appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna go do that because I want to tell. So yeah, I know a few of you showed up just late, but thank you for showing up anyways. You got here in time for the tasting, which is the most fun part. We are going to head over to Chef, who is not quite cooking yet, which is good. We get to see most of the thing. Making a gnocchi dish. Gnocchi sausage, spinach, mushrooms. Yeah. Whew. I'm going to sit down and eat this. I did make kind of a mess. Yes. 1 million ingredient bowls were used today. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you for sticking around. Thanks again to everyone who showed up for our special random Saturday stream where I tasted all this nonsense. Apparently you guys like that, even though I feel like it gets a little bit samey. It definitely got a little bit samey when I had 3 in a row that were the same flavor, that tasted the same. Rhea has hooked us up with 3 raid messages. Little Dancing Dinos if you are not a sub. Little Happy, the flashing ones if you are a sub. And the rainbow face is our pride thing for followers. I hope to do more super secret streams in the future, depending on scheduling. 5 seconds. Goodbye. Thank you. Peace.